Welcome back to Matchday Live, and City have done it! That is a 1-0 win for City in the game today against Leicester. We were seeing shots at the end there of the two goalkeepers talking and hugging, and it's just fitting that we still have David James with us in the studio today to talk about those brilliant performances from both the keepers, and of course still joined by Nedum as well. So David, straight away let's have a chat about the keepers. So Kasper Schmeichel has been named man of the match, understandably, but Ederson in himself as well made some great saves. So really it was a day when the keepers really stood out.
Do you know what? I think this was probably a perfect example of the goalkeeping role because, as you say, Kasper's made loads of saves. And I think even at the end there with Jack Grealish, there was a few City fans, including yourself, Natalie, who were going, has that save given them the opportunity to get the equaliser and make a disappointing day of it? But he was very busy. Obviously, the one goal that he couldn't save. But then if you look at Ederson's impact, that save in the first half, getting kicked in the face, the save in the second half where he came out and blocked, he didn't have anywhere near as much to do, but more important than Kasper in the sense that he didn't let any goals in. So love them both. And the cross. Nedum gave me Nedum gave me a dead arm.
Oh, it's brilliant. Like, just the final minutes of the game, cross comes into the box, you know, the body's everywhere, and keeper shouts, comes and grabs it, lays on the floor. Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I love all that. I love when goalkeepers do that.
But you're right, because that's all he had that that catch and the two saves. He didn't have that much more to do, but the fact that he did what he needed to, and that's his job. And
I've been saying quite a lot about Ederson. I feel for him, where he doesn't have a lot to do, and the opposition might score a goal, and it almost looks bad on him because he hasn't done anything. But today, few things to do, did them perfectly, and that allowed Man City to get the 3 points against a tough Leicester opposition. I mean, you saw them defending in that game. They were putting themselves on the line. But in the end, I did say this at the beginning, I love Pep's pre-match talk, and it was just about winning. It didn't have to be a 3-0 or anything like that. 3 points is all that mattered.
Yes, absolutely. Now, there were other few key moments in the second half to talk about. So, Jamie Vardy obviously had the offside goal ruled out. We were watching it. We were not sure. What did you think?
At first, in real time, I thought it was offside. I was very confident. I was like, nothing to see here. And then they put the video back. I was like, well, I think that's onside now. So, we've not seen the lines being put down, but I'm guessing that it was just a standard process and he must have been offside. But it is kind of nerve-wracking, and you don't want to start a second half like that. So I think for City, you need to learn that lesson going forward. You have to switch it on for the duration, because if that goal goes in for them at that point, the game could go in a completely different direction, could it not?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I say it wasn't too long after the start again. I was groaning, but you were immediately like, no, it's all right, it's offside. But then we did. We all watched it back and we thought, I'd like to see that again.
Well, that's on top of them hitting the crossbar as well. I mean, this was a thing that I was alluding to at half time. Similar to Tottenham, Man City having so much dominance in the game, it's how they start that second half. And courtesy of a crossbar and an offside, they were given the opportunity to then obviously go on and dominate and win. But yeah, we did have a little groan or a little bit of worry there for a moment.
Yeah, I was slightly like, oh no. But then when we scored our goals, when I was like, is it on? Is he on? And you have that moment now. It's just what VAR's introduced to the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, it just adds drama to it. So considering the fact it is entertainment, as David said, it's cool. It's actually it creates the talking point. Oh, do you think that's offside? Well, I think that's offside. What do you reckon the line's going to do? And it worked out well for City today. And then you'd say that the goal that should have been given was given, and the one that shouldn't wasn't. So can you really argue it?
So it's done its job today.
Today.
Yep. Now, talking about that goal, it was Bernardo Silva. His celebration, he loved it, didn't he?
Yeah, I would have loved to have scored more goals, especially in away stadiums as well, with the away fan section there and all that stuff, because there's a real sense of jubilation when you can silence tens of thousands of people who just want you to fail. But it's a great moment. He put himself in the right area. Obviously, he took a lucky bounce, but even speaking to David, I would have tried to finish that and probably just fallen over the ball. But these players, they're good. These guys are good. Even the things that look simple, only look simple because of who they are. And, credit to him for being there. And it's a huge goal. And, it set up the rest of the game for them.
Yeah, and in terms of the goal, it was sort of Jack Grealish out on wide to Cancelo, who put the cross in, to Silva. So it was a lovely worked goal. But Cancelo, I feel like he's going to get a lot of assists this season with these crosses that he's putting in.
Well, definitely hope so. The one thing, again, slightly fortuitous in the sense that I don't like players shooting from distance, simply because that means something's failing in front of them. And for Cancelo to shoot, who hasn't necessarily got a high goal-scoring record, especially from that kind of distance, it was a slightly fortuitous deflection that leads to Bernardo scoring. We don't care. But in the end, it's kind of like, is this where City were going to go? Had that gone somewhere else, was it going to be a series of long shots? And we could have been sat here 0-0 thinking, why didn't they continue this? Why didn't they do that? But yes, you're right. Hopefully he's going to get loads of assists. I would have loved to see Mahrez come on and get the assist, though, because my fantasy league team's suffering again.
Selfish yet again.
We are, David and I are those annoying people that talk about the fantasy teams in terms of everything that happens right now. And we are going to talk about fantasy for you fantasy lovers a little bit later on as well. Nadum's like, no, that's enough.
No, I've been through what you've been through, and I'm out on this other side, and I'm enjoying life again.
You're enjoying your football again just for the enjoyment.
Yes, I can like wake up and not panic about kickoff times and like transfer deadlines and all this. I thought, oh, let's see how he's going today. Oh, good, he did well. Oh, he did badly. Oh, it's one of those things. I'm at ease now.
So you're not screaming when Tanganga gets sent off for Spurs?
I have felt that, and it made me miserable. So, like I say, credit to you guys for doing it, and you obviously enjoy the rush, but I'm far more chill now.
Good. Now, Ferran Torres, obviously, we mentioned him for fantasy football because he was one of the most transferred in players last week. Left his shooting boots at home today.
He did, but like, I don't expect anybody to score every single week anyway, but I think in some ways, like, his movements still remain the same. I think people acknowledge his movements. I think there was one chance, especially in the second half, which came from Gundogan, I think, playing him in behind when he was on the back shoulder. Like, making the runs is one thing. People seeing that and being able to play to it is another thing. And I think in the future, if he makes that run again, I fancy him to take the chance. So, as I say, it's not always going to be a guarantee that someone will score, but he still looks in good form to me. He still looks confident to me. And on a different occasion, I think he comes away with goals, but there's nothing to be taken away from this. And hopefully he'll keep his place in the side come the midweek.
And it was our third clean sheet in a row. So the defence with the goalkeeper, the whole of them are looking solid. So that's a great sign for the rest of the season.
Well, I think that could be improved on with Stones in there because he's also in my fantasy league. I mean, goal scoring historically is what wins your leagues, not defences. However, the argument that if you've got a solid defence, and especially a solid goalkeeper, then it allows you to have chance after chance after chance, as we saw in the first half, knowing that eventually, even with Ferran missing that chance you're talking about, we'll get another chance, which we did, and score from it. So the defence being as solid as usual is a good thing for City and going forward this season. Ominous for the opposition.
That ominous. We saw Fernandinho came on as a substitution late into the second half, and we kind of all instantly thought, okay, we're going a little bit more defensive. We're just kind of shoring up a bit. But then in the last 5 minutes, we had two great chances. Fernandinho had a chance, then Jack Grealish had a chance, both in the last couple of minutes. I love it when we are still creating chances and still pushing forward right until the last second of a game. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's not really the way that I see it in City's DNA to just drop off and just accept pressure from just deal with whatever the other team's doing. And with a Fernandinho coming on in there, yes, you understand that he's probably going to be a holding midfielder at 6, but sometimes the right thing to do would be to go up in this position, to go and try and affect the game there. So I think sometimes from the outside we look at things in a one-dimensional manner, whereas for them, they're literally living it, knowing the right thing to do most of the time, if not all the time. So I think it's credit to City. They knew that Leicester would be trying to come onto them, but then that leaves them more open. But what's the point in the other team being more open if you're not going to try and exploit those spaces anyway? Because you've waited 90 minutes to be able to find some space on that field. And now it's here, so you should try and make the most of it. And, they created those chances. They didn't take them, but thankfully it didn't matter.
Didn't matter. 3 points, 1-0 victory. Now, we've had some questions coming through on WhatsApp. Thank you so much. You can send your questions into our guests all season. You can also tweet us with your thoughts, your questions, your predictions, your cryptic cities. Just use the hashtag #ManCity. So, 2 questions that have come through. Danny Jade has said, Nedum, and it's to the both of you, but I'll go to you first, Nedum. What are your thoughts on Grealish? He's a proper god. Think he's doing so well, getting so much better since being signed with the City. I love it. I love that gorgeous specimen of a man. What are your thoughts on him since he's been signed? And that was the text. That wasn't me saying that, by the way.
Who am I to question your God, my friend? Who am I? But I like how well he's doing at this moment in time, but it's for several reasons. Because I think when he was Aston Villa, I'll be honest, I didn't watch every minute of every Aston Villa game throughout the last few years. But having played against him, I thought he was good. Seeing him in the last few years, I could see he was getting better. And I feel like he's getting better again. I think he understands, or he's starting to understand the City system, his role within that, knowing that everything doesn't have to go through him, but understanding that because of that, say like his goal against Norwich, the ball's on the right wing, someone's about to get a cross in, get yourself to the back post. You know, these are things which maybe didn't happen to the same rate as they did at Aston Villa, but he's fallen into that. And then even, you know, this is the sad nature of being a defender. There was a point late on in the game today where there was a break down the left-hand side for City, then it didn't work out, but then he tracked back 40, 50 yards to go and win the ball back from somebody else. I think at times it can be easy for an attacker to just down tools and so on, but City is strong because they're the collective, and he's bought into that. And I love it, and I think he can get even better again still.
It's something he did at Villa a lot as well, isn't it? And I think perhaps it's because it was more needed at Villa as well, having to go back and win the ball and
but
move
it's
it
the thing
forward.
though, like you buy a player for them and you buy a player for to try and take you to that next level. But for City are a two-way team. You know, it's not just about attacking, it's not just about defending. Like, you have to do that, and he's doing it, because if he doesn't do it, then it means somebody else is going to have to do something which they shouldn't be doing in any particular moment. He understands his role, and he's an exceptional talent. And with KDB, Foden, and the like to come back in, I think you'll see him get better and better and better because of those link-ups.
Cannot wait to see him play with Kevin De Bruyne. I know he can't wait as well. Your thoughts on Danny Jade's comments about this gorgeous specimen of a man, David?
Yeah, his hair. Oh. Yeah, no. I'm agreeing with Nathan. I think the when you saw him at Aston Villa, that he was essentially Aston. And one man doesn't make a team, of course, but his role at Aston Villa was almost ubiquitous because he had to do so much. And what he's learned at Manchester City is that he isn't needed as much, or should I say, he doesn't have that responsibility to run Manchester City. So therefore, he finds himself in the right areas at the right times. He's got the support network around him that he can do what he does best in the areas that are more effective. And although we didn't see 5 goals today, there were more than enough opportunities for 5 goals, and Jack Grealish was the heart of that. The one-on-one with Kasper at the end, you're thinking, could he have squared it? Could he have? But in the end, it didn't matter. But I think, as Nedum said, he's growing. And when you see him sort of becoming a focal point for England as well during the Euros, it's kind of like everything's elevated at the right time. So I think Man City, irrespective of the money, have bought the right player for Manchester City's further development.
Okay, and another question is coming through Rick LMI. For both of you, just a nice simple one. Who is your best City legend?
Best City legend? Can there be legendary players that are playing right now?
Yes. Whatever you
want.
You
promoted current players to legendary status? Come on, Nathan.
I think so.
Nathan spent some time in America.
Yeah,
I thought you had to retire before you get in Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, in that case, I will go for Sergio Aguero. And the reason I'll go for that is because his role within the City story is such a significant one, because from when he came, the club isn't what it was when he left. And I think whoever comes in from this point is to try and help City maybe achieve the thing which they haven't won yet, which is the Champions League. But when he came in, there wasn't really anything that was going on at that point. But he was the man scored 260 goals for the club. Like, that's absolutely insane, considering where, say, in terms of Premier League goal scorers, he's in the hundreds or whatever, then it's Raheem Sterling. And then I think it's either Nicolas Anelka or Sean Gota. Like, City shouldn't have a player that is in that level, but they do. And he helped propel them to this position now where we can be talking on this show about a team that's just won the Premier League for 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yes, I love that. Love that answer. David?
That's a good challenge, that, and one that I think in the Premier League there isn't really a contestant against Sergio, as Nedum so eloquently explained there. But I've got to go Nicky Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
This is Premier League, and I'm sure a lot of the guys watching, for one reason or another, might not remember Nicky Weaver.
I've not been born.
I didn't want to say that, but Nicky Weaver was part of the start of the success way back there with the penalty shootout. I mean, this is, and he's such a character. Mm. And he replaced me. He allowed me to go up front. So, I mean, that's another reason why I've got to... Nicky Weaver, I think, if you're going to mention the Sergio Aguero contribution to the City story, Nicky Weaver would have been the end of that bookmark.
That's a really great point. I did play with Nicky, and I was also like ball boying for him when he was coming through, when he was like playing reserves, all sorts. But the City story is a very, very interesting one because it hasn't been plain sailing all the way. So you can talk about that moment, but then a couple of years later, you can talk about another moment, then another moment, then another moment. And even though they weren't necessarily moments which led to silverware at the highest level, there were things which just carried on momentum. It just kept it going, just that little bit. Like the last year for, say, us or whatever with Stuart Pearce, when we just about stay up. If the club doesn't stay up in 2006-7, maybe Sven doesn't come in 7-8, so a lot of people don't come in there, and then the next stage is the next stage and the next stage. So even though, you know, like, it was a far different club, the journey was still the journey, and like, you know, we've all done our bit with this, which is it's incredible to look back at.
I can just add to that. I was at Main Road. The City fans won't like this when they drew 2-2 with Liverpool last game of the season, which sent them down. Yeah,
95, 94. Yeah.
So again, like Nathan said,
where we got our maths wrong that game.
Steve Lomas keeping the ball in the corner flag. Yeah, so I think the City story is so wonderful because of so much has happened to get to this point. But you're right, Sergio Aguero is a legend.
Yeah,
Nicky Weaver is also a legend, but not necessarily a Premier League legend
for sure.
And I am very blessed that I was at Wembley in the playoff final to witness Nicky Weaver's saves that got us up. And I was at the Etihad Stadium when Sergio Aguero scored his 93-20.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was playing for the team.
Now, from two legends to another legend. He's not retired yet, but he's a legend. It is Pep Guardiola.
It's a difficult place to come and win, but that's precisely what you've done.
Definitely is a difficult place to come. We know it, so the last years, last decade, Leicester make a step forward to be in the top of the league, and but especially the way we played, the amount of chances we had, the shoots, the personality, we did very, very good things.
You ran away with the two matches that you played before this one against Norwich and Arsenal with 5 goals in each. The first 5 minutes of this one, I mean, it was the most intense, pacey start I've seen for a long time.
Yeah, we did really well. So the process, the build-up, the patience, we found inside, outside. And we let them run a lot. I know how dangerous Jamie Vardy and also Barnes in the transition. So, yeah, I think it was a really good performance. After international break, everyone out, just 1 day training, and the players were able to be focused, to concentrate, and we make an incredible performance.
Given how much of the play you'd had in the first half, was there an element of frustration that you hadn't scored, particularly against a team like Leicester, who you know are going to have a chance?
Yeah, but Michael is a really top keeper, so sometimes it happens. The important is the way we play it and the amount of chances we create. This is the most important thing, and the few we concede, how good we defend the set pieces with Vestergaard and Soyuncu, like they are almost unstoppable. So many good things we have done, and at the end, of course, we will have loved to score more goals. We deserve it, but at the end, the way we played and the created chances, this is a good sign for the future.
And is it also important to you that the goals come from a whole range of players within the team? Because that's exactly what's happening here. Bernardo Silva today.
Yeah, definitely. I think the last 11 goals scored 9 different players. So it's our strength as a team. We don't have a real striker like for himself to score a goal. We have to do it as a team, as our process. So that's why I'm satisfied the way we have done.
How late in the day did you know that Ederson and Gabriel Jesus would be able to play?
This morning.
So I was about to say, had you prepared all week for them not to be in the team, but then you wouldn't have had most of the players anyway, I guess.
I'm pretty sure we have played with 11 players. If whether just in case Ederson and Gabriel could not have played. So Scott would have played, another striker who could play. So that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was the thoughts of our manager, Pep Guardiola. Now we're going to have a look at the other scores from today's 3 o'clock kickoffs. And you can see there, of course, Leicester 0, Manchester City 1. And then Brentford 0, Brighton 1. And that was a 90th minute winner there. And it was Arsenal 1. They've scored. They've finally scored and got a victory. Norwich 0. And then it's Manchester United 4. Newcastle 1, and then Southampton 0, West Ham 0, and then Watford 0, Wolves 2. So that's your 3 o'clock scores from today. And of course, Crystal Palace in the early kickoff beat Spurs 3-0. So match of the day is going to be fun tonight. It's definitely a lot of good
Are you
games
still
to watch
watching that?
there. I still watch it,
Yeah, that's old school.
Yeah.
That's real old school now, yeah.
Where are you getting your highlights? Obviously, City Plus.
Just anywhere, apart from City Plus, anywhere on the internet, about 5 minutes after the game finishes. But I don't know, maybe I'm one of those modern types.
Nedum's too technological for me. You can watch the full City game as well, the entire game today, on the City app, on City Plus later this evening as well. So if you've not seen the game today, that is the place to get your City highlights. Right, gents, before we go, should we have a look at Cryptic City?
Yeah, go on, let's see if we
Can I just point out something as well? The Cryptic City explanation picture, and then Iheanacho tries to get a penalty.
He's got to pick the right people.
He dived.
You're right.
Anyway, sorry, that was a bone of contention
had
for me.
He was an example that we used. You're right, and then he dived. It's a good point. Right, thank you for sending in all of your guesses. I think you've all caught onto the game pretty quickly. I think we'll have to make it a little bit tougher. So let's have a look there. The first emoji there is, what do you think, Nedum? Ill. Someone that's ill. And the second one, do you know, David?
I wanted to say Peter, but no, K.
K. So that's Peter K, who's a massive British comedian. So you've got the ill emoji, Peter K, ill K, and then that is a gun, and then it is Homer Simpson. So what are we getting from Homer Simpson?
Is it dough?
Dough, yes. Homer Simpson's favourite saying, dough. Gun dough, and then this one. Did you guys know the end one?
I know he got one.
Did he?
Got one?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, I thought he won X Factor or something.
No, that is Gok Wan. Gok Wan is a
Wan.
presenter, yes. So that is Il K Gun Do Wan.
Speaks for itself, doesn't it?
You both got it, didn't you?
Yeah.
You both got it. Do you feel like geniuses right now?
Well, no, not really. I'll be honest, no. But it's a good game. Looking forward to playing that one more.
So we're going to make that tougher. Whenever Nedum's on it, it'll be really tough, right? So just a shout out there to Jessica McPherson, who got it. Well done, Jessica. Ian Richardson got it as well. Well done, Ian. And Kaylee Lou 92 got it. And they all tweeted us using the hashtag Man City. So thank you for joining in there with our first game of Cryptic City. And we are going to make that more difficult.
Well, it's difficulty subjective, isn't it? You know what I mean? Some people might still be struggling with that. You never know.
Oh, this is true. Always the thinker. Right, now we're going to hear what our goal scorer from today thought of the game. It is Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo, many congratulations. I mean, that felt like a really important win. How did the guys respond to that?
Well, yeah, it was a really important win, especially because we know how difficult it is to play against Leicester here away. We know how good they are because we played against them in the Community Shield. We lost, unfortunately, and I think we started well the game. I think we could have scored a little bit earlier. We created a few chances in the first half, in the beginning of the game. I think we were quite unlucky. At half-time, the manager said that we were playing well. We had to stay focused and patient, and that's what we did. We were lucky at the end of it to get the goal and to get the 3 points. It's just a game against one of the best teams and a very important game, but it's just 3 points and on to the next one.
I'll ask about yourself as well, Bernardo. Again, magnificent performance. It looked like you were sort of on top form from the first minute. How did it feel to yourself?
Very good. I'm very happy to have helped the team with the goal, with the performance, and just the beginning. We have a long way to go. I'm happy with the season so far. And as I said, on to the next one. A lot of different competitions to play. A lot of tough games. This month is going to be crazy for us, but everyone is ready.
You made the point. I mean, it's the start of a really important month, isn't it? Not just in the league, but in Europe and the Carabao Cup as well. Perfect way to start coming here to a tough ground like this and getting a win like that.
Well, yeah, perfect way to start. I think the last two games before this one, we played really well today again, so we have to keep the momentum, keep winning and winning and winning, because when you're in this kind of form, it's always easier to keep things going, because everyone is with a lot of confidence. And yeah, we've got a lot of players that are ready to play, hungry to play minutes, and everyone is ready.
And these games are always tough coming after the international break. There's not much preparation time. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about Edison and Gabriel as well, whether they'd be able to play. It says everything about the character of the side that we're able to come through that tough opposition, tough crowd as well, and get the result.
Yeah, when you go to your country, so to play for the national teams, you always lose a little bit the routines, because when I go to Portugal, the way we play is different than here. Probably Spain and Germany, they're also different than here. So you lose a little bit the routines, but yeah, the team responded in a great way and we're very happy.
And great to get a goal again, another important strike for yourself.
Yeah, I'm very happy to help the team. Important goal, and yeah, on to the next one, as I said.
And finally, Bernardo, I mean, with focus on Europe now, RB Leipzig on Wednesday. Is there a sense that we've got unfinished business in the Champions League after last season?
Of course there is. It's a competition that we didn't win yet, hopefully. One more chance to go for it. Always important to start well in the group stage, and playing at home with our fans. We're going to give our best to get the 3 points.
Oh, many congratulations. Thanks for your time.
And that was the thoughts of our goal scorer today, Bernardo Silva. Hopefully he's all right there. Did he trip over the mic? It sounded like, well, we've not injured him. Yikes. So that was the thoughts of Bernardo Silva. Now, at the end there, he was talking about the Champions League, because, of course, we start our Champions League campaign for this year on Wednesday night as RB Leipzig join us here at the Etihad Stadium. We'll, of course, be here. It'll be Kel Spellman, and he is joined by Sean Gota and Sean Wright-Phillips on Wednesday, so you can join the show before the match on Wednesday. But a little thought, gents, from you both about the Champions League. Obviously, we were runners-up last year. It still pains me. I still get a sore feeling when I think about it. In terms of the Champions League for this season, PSG are looking like the favourites. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I can see why that would be the case. I think City were favourites last season, with PSG probably coming in second or third and so on. But when you bring in the likes of Sergio Ramos and Lionel Messi, the expectation goes that little bit higher. But for me, as we've seen across the years, what difference does it make being your favourites anyway? You still need to be able to perform, have a bit of luck along the way, because you've got so many ups and downs throughout a season as it is. You just need to make sure you hit form at the right sort of time. So, PSG have that tag. They have the most pressure. Maybe they'll be able to live up to it. But the fact is, City are more than capable of getting to another final and more than capable of winning it, should everything happen to go their way this year.
Yeah, it's so difficult, like you say, with the basis of a knockout competition. We've seen so many times in the past the very fine margins of decisions that have gone against us in the past. I mean, the Tottenham game as well, that still breaks my little heart as well. I still remember the pain of celebrating and then being told it wasn't.
Just let's not talk about that.
Yes, let's move on quickly. So apparently, officially with the bookies, PSG are favourites. We are second favourites. Would you agree with that? At the Nedum says, who cares? But Chelsea are third favourites, obviously current European champions.
Yeah, I'd be more frightened of Chelsea than I would of PSG. I have to say that, on the basis that PSG flat as a sieve, even though they have got to finals, and let's be right. But as Nedum says, bringing in Ramos, bringing in Messi, kind of elevates the vision or the status of the players involved. But just there's something about Chelsea. I've said this before about Man City. Their main challenges this season, I think, again, are going to be Chelsea. I think what Thomas Tuchel's doing down in London is a wonderful thing for football. Frustrating for City, might be, as you say, for the Champions League final. But what I liked there was listening to Bernardo talking. That's what you want to hear, even though sometimes it sounds a little bit boring. It's kind of like on to the next game. And if they can keep not momentum, but the confidence going into games, win here Wednesday, don't worry about that 3 points, go on to the next league game, don't worry about that 3 points, continue this. When it comes to the end, then City will be in a position, as Nedum says, where they can be winning Champions Leagues, not just finishing runners-up. So anyone can be favourites. Don't worry about that. It's who does the deal at the end. So you're in a good place.
Well, the favourites and the second favourites, of course, play each other in the group stage. We'll see how we compare to PSG towards the end of the month in that lovely week of fixtures where we play them, Liverpool and Chelsea all away in the same week. That'll be nice. But we start with Wednesday night against RB Leipzig. How are you feeling ahead of that game, Nedum?
Earlier in the season, anything in theory could happen, but I do like where City are at this moment in time. I'll be honest, I've not been tracking RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga, so I don't know exactly what their feel is like. But for City playing at home in this stadium, coming off losing in a final, I think they're going to be motivated to get back to that table again. So in terms of professionalism, understanding, and so on, I fancy them to win. I fancy them to win against anybody here. So I'll be expecting a good performance. Maybe we'll see a few changes compared to the team which we saw today. But the exciting thing is that's not weakness, because a few changes might be KDB, it might be Phil Foden, it might be Fernandinho, it might be John Stones, people like that. So I think it would be a good chance, it would be a good test. but they've got more than enough to be able to do well in that game.
Yes, I can't wait. Can't wait for Wednesday night already. Of course, we're going into that month where we're going to be playing twice a week again, and I love it. Now, before we go, David, let's have a quick geeky chat on fantasy football. What City players did you have today? Oh no.
Well, okay, so I have to confess to making mistakes with my initial purchases because, as I say, I put in Stones and Mahrez straight away, who didn't play, I think, in the first game. Then Mahrez is kind of keep me afloat, but he didn't today. So it's kind of like I've got no points. I put Stones on the bench. I normally have Edison in, but it's a cost thing. Should have had him in today. And then I went through a mad selling and purchasing thing, which apparently costs you points in fantasy. So whatever I've got to say about fantasy league, like Nedum, I think what I should do is step away from it and just.
You've got to go all in to be successful. You have to go all in, and
that's when I'm not successful.
Well, that's like the case with most people, which is why it's a crazy game to do. But I get it. The highs can be very, very high.
But if you're a Man City fan who's on fantasy league doing a Man City fantasy league, then these last 3 games would be superb because there's no changes. But if you're like me, thinking John Stones has had an amazing season, amazing Euros, he's got to start. And he hasn't played a minute yet. And it's kind of like, hang on.
Tell you what got me, Dave, was with my fantasy experience, the very first one, it wasn't just the league format. It was a head-to-head on a week-to-week basis. So when such and such wasn't playing, immediately, I'm raging because I'm behind with somebody. And it's just a battle for 3 points as opposed to the total amount of points that you get. So all these do you know what? I need to start. I'm going to let you guys take this. Yeah, you do head-to-heads, yeah. We had 20 teams in and literally played against each person twice throughout the year. So you might get 50 points one week and win. 50 points the next week and you've lost by 25. So, yeah, just letting you know.
Shouldn't have told me that.
I've got Gundogan and Diaz, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to get points for Diaz, although I don't think Gundogan got no assists or goals there today. But I've got Tanganga, who got sent off for Spurs.
Gundogan will get a clean sheet thing, though, won't he?
Yeah.
No, midfielder.
He gets 1 point. Doesn't get 1 point.
Oh, okay. And I had Antonio as my captain. When I checked before, I've got -2 for that. So I think he must have got carded.
Listen, you jumped on the hype train for that one. You jumped on the hype train for that one.
I know, and everyone jumped on the hype. Well, 1 million people jumped on the hype train for a certain Manchester United player who is the highest scoring player of the week. But I didn't because my rule is no Manchester United players. So I'm probably going to sacrifice winning anything for that, David.
I'm not saying anything about that.
Have you got them? I think it's all right.
One of my players might have scored a goal for Manchester United today.
I'm in the minority. I just cannot. I just cannot do it. And Igor, who's top of our league, Igor wasn't doing it, but you've changed, Igor. You've changed. Igor had a Man United player in his team, so I'm going to check and see if he's still top of the league. Yeah.
Rest assured, at the end of the season, these Manchester United picking fantasy league people might win the fantasy league, but let's see if they win the Premier League.
Yes, David, and that is the way to end the show. Thank you, because ultimately that is all that matters, what actually happens in the real Premier League. So, David, thank you so much. Perfect to have you today. It was like it was fate with those goalkeeping performances. Thank you very much, and always a pleasure, Nedum.
I was there, I guess. Yeah. Cool.
No,
maybe see you again soon.
If you want more of Nedum, you can of course listen to his amazing podcast, Kick Back with Nedum, available on all good podcast stores, with his perfect, wonderful interview with Michael Johnson this week. We love Nedum too, but thank you very much. We love you all for watching. We hope you've enjoyed today's Matchday Live. Don't forget, you can get the full game on City Plus later this evening. See you Wednesday.
It's a dream being here. Fortunately, we could not win. We are sad. We have to learn from this to come back one day.
Manchester City.
City begin their Champions League campaign.
Raheem Sterling para el Manchester City. De Bruyne finalmente dispara. Gol.
Tries it, Nedum scores.
It's always something you dream of as a kid. This is just a different smell in the air.
Together with Manchester City,
Leipzig.
City now have the lead in Paris.
It's a brilliant night for City in the Champions League.
City's top scorer of all time. Wonderful play by Bernardo Silva.
Manchester City have reached the summit.
We'll come back strong.